The movie begins with Steve recounting his tale. As a kid growing up in the 1980s, he had an intense fascination with the mines, though children were strictly prohibited from entering them. Years later, stuck in a monotonous and unfulfilling job, Steve decided to leave it behind and finally pursue his childhood dream of exploring the mines. During his exploration, he discovered two powerful items, the Orb of Dominance and the Earth Crystal. When he combined them, Steve was transported to the Overworld, a vast and magical realm where he could construct his own home using materials he gathered. While there, he also formed a close bond with a loyal wolf he named Dennis. One day, while exploring deeper into the Overworld, Steve inadvertently discovered a hidden gateway that led to the Nether, a dark, fiery realm inhabited by the fierce and unforgiving Piglins. These creatures lived under the rule of Malgosha, a powerful and bitter sorceress. Long ago, Malgosha had dreamed of becoming a performer, yearning for applause and acceptance. However, her ambitions were ridiculed and crushed by her father and the rest of the Piglins, who dismissed her dreams as foolish. Heartbroken and humiliated, Malgosha turned to darkness, embracing her pain and channeling it into destructive magic. Upon Steve's arrival in the Nether, Malgosha sensed the power he carried and swiftly stole the Orb of Dominance from him. With the orb in her possession, she began plotting to plunge the entire Overworld into eternal darkness, a world without sunlight, where the Piglins could roam freely without fear of light. Realizing the dire threat Malgosha posed, Steve bravely infiltrated her stronghold with Dennis at his side. In a daring mission, they managed to steal the orb back. Knowing it wasn't safe in his hands any longer, Steve entrusted Dennis with both the orb and the Earth Crystal, sending his loyal companion back into the real world to keep them far from the Piglins' reach. With darkness looming over the Overworld, Steve vowed to stop Malgosha and restore peace to the realm. In the present day, we're introduced to Garrett, the garbage man, Garrison, a washed-up former video game champion who now runs a small store specializing in vintage and nostalgic items. Though once a household name in the gaming world, Garrett has failed to move on from his glory days. His business is floundering, and with eviction looming over him, he's desperate for something, anything, that might help him turn things around. Garrett catches wind of a local storage unit auction hosted by his old friend Daryl. He attends with high hopes of finding an ultra-rare Atari Cosmos console, believing that such a discovery could earn him a small fortune and save his store. However, when he wins the auction and opens the unit, he's devastated to find that the box contains not the console he expected, but instead two mysterious objects, the Orb of Dominance and the Earth Crystal. Confused and overwhelmed, Garrett has a very public meltdown in front of the other bidders, feeling as though his last chance has slipped away. Meanwhile, a young woman named Natalie is relocating to the small town of Glass, Idaho, along with her teenage brother Henry, following the recent passing of their mother. Trying to build a new life, Natalie lands a job at the local potato chip factory, where she's assigned to handle the company's social media presence. Henry, adjusting to life in a new school, is introduced to the faculty by Vice Principal Marlene. On his first day in class, Henry attempts to make a good impression by showcasing a homemade jet pack he built, a symbol of his creative and inventive spirit. However, two local bullies sabotage his demonstration by snipping a key wire. The result is chaos. The jet pack malfunctions and rockets wildly through the room before crashing into the school's beloved mascot statue, Chuggy the potato chip, much to the horror and amusement of the students and staff. In a moment of panic after the jet pack disaster, Henry reaches out to the only person he's connected with so far in town, Garrett, the garbage man, Garrison. The two had briefly met earlier that day when Henry stopped by Garrett's store out of curiosity. Sensing an opportunity to make a quick buck, Garrett agrees to pose as Henry's uncle, for a $26 fee, and whisks the teen away from school before any real trouble can catch up with him. Back at Garrett's store, the two stumble upon the mysterious orb and crystal that Garrett had earlier dismissed as junk. Along with the items is a worn note, written by Steve himself, warning against using the orb for selfish purposes, especially in pursuit of wealth, as it could trigger great danger. Intrigued and undeterred, Henry places the orb into the Earth Crystal. Instantly, a strange energy is unleashed, and both he and Garrett begin to feel a magnetic pull toward the old mines just outside of town. At the same time, Natalie becomes worried after realizing Henry is missing. She reaches out to Dawn, the enthusiastic real estate agent who sold her their house and also moonlights as the operator of a mobile petting zoo. Together, they begin searching for Henry. Following clues, they eventually find both Henry and Garrett at the entrance to the mines. From a distance, Dennis, the loyal wolf companion of Steve, watches them quietly, guarding the portal's threshold. As the group steps closer, a surge of magical energy erupts from the orb and crystal, and the portal to the overworld bursts open, pulling all four of them inside. Elsewhere in the Nether, the return of the orb is sensed immediately by Malgosha and the Piglins. The surge of its reactivation provides Steve, who has been imprisoned in the Nether, with the distraction he needs to escape his captors and make his way back to the overworld. Back in Overworld, the group is awestruck by the vivid, blocky landscape. But their wonder is short-lived as night quickly falls. In the darkness, sinister skeletons and groaning zombies rise from the shadows and launch an attack. Thinking quickly, Henry discovers that he can manipulate the world's resources and constructs a makeshift fortress to help the group gain higher ground and avoid the creatures. In the heat of the battle, Steve arrives just in time to help fend off the enemies. However, amidst the chaos, Garrett fumbles with the artifacts and accidentally shatters the earth crystal, their only known way back home. As dawn breaks and sunlight incinerates the remaining monsters, Steve assesses the damage. Though the destruction of the earth crystal is a major setback, he assures the group that there may still be a way to return home. A replacement earth crystal can be found, but to get it, they'll have to embark on a perilous journey to a dangerous and mysterious place deep in the overworld, the legendary Woodland Mansion. Steve leads the group of four on their journey, introducing them to the wonders of the overworld. He shows them a nearby village along with its residents and demonstrates how simple it is to build structures in this world. Suddenly, the Piglins arrive, commanded by General Chungus, sparking a fierce battle. During the chaos, Steve, Garrett, and Henry become separated from Natalie and Dawn. The three men manage to evade the Piglins, while Natalie and Dawn team up to fend off attackers and eventually find Dennis, who guides them back to Steve. Meanwhile, General Chungus returns to Malgosha but is executed by her, prompting her to unleash her fearsome creation, the Great Hog, to track down the heroes. Steve, Garrett, and Henry take refuge in a cave where Garrett urges Steve to reveal the location of Overworld's treasures. Steve leads them to the diamond mines, but Henry grows concerned over Garrett's apparent greed. Their moment is cut short when the Great Hog attacks. The trio narrowly escapes by hopping onto a minecart and cleverly using creepers as weapons to trigger explosions. Just as the Great Hog is destroyed in the blast, the three make their getaway. Meanwhile, back in the real world, a villager known as Nitwit becomes disoriented after wandering out of the overworld. He unintentionally gets struck by Marlene's car, and she kindly invites him to join her for dinner. Although Nitwit doesn't speak English, Marlene soon finds herself developing feelings for him. Steve, Garrett, and Henry finally arrive at the ominous Woodland Mansion, a dark and foreboding structure said to hold the key to returning home. Knowing the dangers that lie ahead, they quickly come up with a plan. Steve and Garrett volunteer to create a diversion, drawing the attention of the Piglin guards and any other lurking threats, so that Henry can sneak inside and search for the replacement earth crystal. As Henry quietly navigates the eerie halls of the mansion, he stumbles into a room where he's confronted by a sinister Enderman, a tall, shadowy creature with glowing eyes and the power to teleport. The Enderman doesn't attack physically at first. Instead, it plays with Henry's mind, using its abilities to project illusions of Steve, Garrett, and Natalie saying hurtful things about him, taunting him with feelings of doubt and rejection, trying to make him give up. Meanwhile, Steve and Garrett are locked in a ridiculous but dangerous battle with a miniature Frankenstein-like monster who rides around on the back of a chicken, cackling and lunging at them with surprising agility. After a chaotic skirmish, they manage to evade the creature and regroup, only to find that Henry is still deep in battle. Henry, now fueled by determination, shakes off the Enderman's tricks and uses his sword to take on the creature. After a tense fight, he defeats it and is rewarded with an Ender Pearl, an enchanted item capable of teleporting the user to any place they throw it. With the Earth Crystal in hand, he rejoins Steve and Garrett. Just as the trio prepares to leave, Malgosha and her Piglin army arrive, ambushing the heroes. Malgosha wastes no time in seizing the orb once again, grinning victoriously. A fierce fight breaks out as her forces descend on the group. Steve and Henry manage to scramble into a hot air balloon, hoping to make their escape. Garrett, however, chooses to stay behind, taking a stand to buy them time. As the bridge they crossed is rigged with TNT, it explodes in a massive blast, and Garrett disappears in the smoke and flames, presumed dead. Steve and Henry are thrown off course by the blast and crash into unknown territory, the fate of their friend weighing heavily on their minds as their journey continues. Steve and Henry regain consciousness to discover they've been rescued by Dawn, Natalie, and Dennis, who have been searching for them after the crash. Though relieved to be reunited, the group is devastated as they process Garrett's apparent sacrifice during the explosion at the bridge. They take a quiet moment to mourn the loss of their friend and honor the bravery he showed in standing up to the Piglins. With Malgosha now in control of the orb, the group realizes they must act quickly. Using its dark magic, Malgosha unleashes a powerful curse, blanketing Overworld in eternal night. Without the protection of daylight, monsters begin to roam freely, terrorizing the land and its peaceful inhabitants. Refusing to give up, the heroes rally a group of iron golems, towering stone protectors of the villages, to stand against the growing Piglin threat. As the climactic battle begins, the iron golems charge into the fray, clashing with Piglins, skeletons, and zombies in a massive war across the land. Meanwhile, Henry sets out on a dangerous mission to climb Malgosha's towering fortress in an effort to retrieve the orb and put an end to her reign. As he gets close to the top, Malgosha spots him and attacks, blasting the tower with a bolt of magic. The structure trembles and begins to collapse, sending Henry plummeting toward the ground. Just when all seems lost, a familiar figure appears out of the sky, Garrett, alive and well, swooping and heroically aboard his patched-up hot air balloon. He grabs Henry mid-fall and flies them both to safety. Reunited and reinvigorated, the team regroups and launches a final assault on Malgosha's tower. Together, they bring it crashing down, reclaiming the orb in the process. With the dark magic broken, the skies begin to clear, and the monsters shriek as they dissolve into dust under the returning sunlight. The land begins to heal. In a last, desperate attempt, Malgosha tries to sneak up on Steve, not once, but twice, attempting to land a surprise blow. But her attacks fail, clumsy and half-hearted, as her power quickly fades. With a final sputter of defiance, she collapses and vanishes for good, bringing her dark reign to a definitive end.
The portal to the real world opens once more, giving the heroes a chance to return home. As everyone begins to step through, Steve hesitates. He quietly tells the others that he plans to remain in Overworld, believing there's nothing left for him in the real world. But Natalie challenges his perspective, suggesting that maybe he's looking at it the wrong way. Maybe the real world has something to gain from him. After a moment of reflection, Steve decides to go with them, stepping through the portal and leaving Overworld behind. In a closing narration, Steve reflects on how their lives have changed since returning. With Steve's help, Garrett is no longer stuck in the past. He revamps his store and even creates a brand new arcade game based on their adventure. It quickly becomes a local hit among the town's kids. Dawn, inspired by her time in Overworld, turns her petting zoo into a sensation by introducing Dennis and other Overworld creatures, drawing bigger crowds than ever. Natalie starts teaching self-defense classes to kids, using the techniques and confidence she gained from battling monsters. Henry, now far more confident and self-assured, fixes his jetpack and becomes a hit at school, even earning the respect of his former bullies. The story wraps up with a joyful party held at Garrett's store, where Steve and the other heroes gather to celebrate not just their victory, but their growth and new beginnings.